Ajurrumiyyah lesson number 6. In the previous lesson, we were talking about the fi'l mudari, the imperfect verb. We will continue with the same subject. وَهُوَ مَرْفُوعٌ أَبَدًا, and it, meaning the imperfect verb, is always in the indicative mood, أبدا, always, حتى, until, يدخل عليه ناصب أو جازم, until a governor that makes it subjunctive or a governor that makes it jussive enters upon it. What the author means here, rahimahullah, is that when there is no amil, there is no grammatical governor acting upon the imperfect verb, that is nasib, that makes it subjunctive, or jazm, that makes it jussive, then it will be in the indicative mood. فَالنَّوَاسِبُ عَشَرَةٌ, the grammatical governors that make the imperfect, that put the imperfect verb into the subjunctive mood are 10. وَهِيَ, and these are, again, the inanimate plural is referred to by a feminine singular pronoun, and walan, and lan, وَإِذَان, and izan, وَكَي, and k, وَلَامُ كَي, and لَامُ كَي, وَلَامُ الْجُحُودِ, and the lam of denial, وَحَتَّى, and حَتَّى, وَالْجَوَابِ بِالْفَاء, and the response with fa, وَالْوَاو, and waw, وَأَوْ, and aw. So these are the, according to Ibn Ajurrum's delineation, enumeration, the 10 grammatical governors that put the imperfect verb into the subjunctive mood. Now we will give examples to each one. Let's start with, well, first let's mention this, that these can be divided into 3 groups. The first group consists of those grammatical governors that make the imperfect verb, that put the imperfect verb into the subjunctive mood by themselves. And these are the first four, an, and lan, and idhan, and k. And the second group consists of just the lamu k. Lamu k can put the imperfect verb into the subjunctive mood by itself, where the governor an is assumed after it, or with the explicit mention of the governor an following the lamu k. And the last group consists of the remaining lamul juhud, hatta, jawab bil fa, and waw, and aw. These do not make the imperfect verb subjunctive by themselves. Rather, they, like lamu k, make it subjunctive with an assumed an after them. But unlike lamu k, here it is obligatory to not mention an. Okay? So in other words, the Arabs, when they use lamu k, they sometimes use it by itself, and the imperfect verb that follows it becomes subjunctive, and sometimes the lam will be followed by an an, and then the imperfect verb will be subjunctive. So here they have the choice of either using an or not, mentioning an or not mentioning an after lamu k. Whereas with the remainder, the an is always assumed to be there. However, it's never said, so it's obligatory to omit it. So this is why he the author rahimahullah put these in this order. The first four, as I said, governed by themselves. Lam K, and starting with the Lam K, the others governed by an that is assumed. Now in Lam K, that an can be mentioned or not be mentioned. In the ones following Lam K, it's never mentioned. So let's give examples of each one. The example from an is the example I'll give is from Surah Shu'ara, Surah number 26, ayah number 82, referring to the statement of Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَالَّذِي أَطْمَعُ أَن يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيئَتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. أستعيذ بالله. وَالَّذِي أَطْمَعُ أَن يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيئَتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. Here we can interpret this as saying, referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ibrahim alayhi salam says, and he is the one whom I desire that he forgives my error on the day of recompense, meaning on the day of judgment. So what's the amil here, the grammatical governor? And what's the ma'amul, the imperfect verb yaghfir? What's the amal? The amal is the feta, an yaghfira, right? So because of the an, the imperfect verb goes into the subjunctive mode and has a feta. From the theological perspective, the ulama have said that the prophets seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illustrates their humility in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're breaking their own nafs, they're lowering their own nafs in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to teach the religious communities that follow them, that who take them as their models, that they should also seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's looking at it from a theological and eschatological perspective. Now let's go back to the grammar. Next we're going to talk about lan. Lan is for the emphatic denial of the future. It indicates ta'kid and not ta'bid, meaning it doesn't mean that it's not gonna what the imperfect verb that comes after it is never gonna happen, but it's emphatic denial. Okay, so one of the best ways to translate this is to say shall not, right? So here we can give as an example to this from Surah Taha, the statement of the Israelites saying, Estaizu billah, قالوا لن نبرح عليه عاكفين حتى يرجع إلينا موسى. We will not cease to persist, meaning persist on worshipping the calf, حتى until يرجع إلينا موسى, until Musa, may peace be upon him, returns to us. So here the amil is hatta, and then the ma'mul is yarji, and then the amal is the fatha on the ayn, hatta yarji'a. That's one of them. That's the example of hatta. And then there is also the example of lan, which is lan nebraha. So in this case, lan will be the amil, nebraha will be the ma'mul, and the fatha and the ha will be what? Will be the amal, the government itself. So this ayah we can give as an example both for lan and hatta, but as we said previously, lan governs by itself, whereas hatta does not govern by itself, but rather there is an assumed an, and that we just saw above, that is assumed to be after it, and that is actually what makes it mansub. So in other words, this hatta is actually the hatta that is harful jar that we saw previously, and that means until, but there's an assumed and afterwards, and that is that and is never explicitly mentioned, and that makes the following imperfect verb subjunctive. The next example is إذن. إذن is a particle that indicates response, and that is a subjunctive governor. And the example is, for example, if somebody says سأجتهد في دروسي, I will exert myself in my studies, and somebody responds to them and says إذن تنجح, then you will be successful. So what are the conditions for إذن to do nasb? It doesn't always do nasb, unlike len, for example. The len will always do nasb, always make the imperfect verb following it subjunctive. إذن is not that way. There are conditions for it to make this government. What are these conditions? First, it will be a response. As you see in this example, the first person says سأجتهد في دروسي, I will exert myself in my studies. The second person says, then you will be successful. So it has to be in response, and also it has to be in the beginning of the statement, as we saw in the example. So the first thing that the responder says is إذن, then you will be successful. And then we also have the condition that the imperfect verb here indicates the future, as we mentioned in the previous lessons, that the imperfect in the Arabic refers to an incomplete action that can mean either the present or the future. For إذن to govern an imperfect verb by putting it into the subjunctive mood, the imperfect verb has to have the future tense meaning, as in the example we gave. إذن تنجح, then you will be successful, because the first person said what? سأجتهد, I will study, I will exert myself in my lessons, in my studies. إذن, then you will be successful. And second, إذن should not be separated from its ma'mul, from the imperfect verb it governs, by anything other than qasam, an oath, such as wallahi, or anida, like إذن يا زيد تنجح, or la and nafiya, the la that is for negation. If one of these three come in between إذن and its ma'mul, it's not going to harm its government. However, if anything else separates إذن from the imperfect verb it governs, then it will no longer have this government of putting it into the subjunctive mode. So again, to summarize, إذن will make the imperfect verb subjunctive with the conditions that it is said in response to a previous statement, that it is the first thing that is said in the response, that the imperfect verb that follows it has the meaning of the future tense, and then nothing comes between إذن and the imperfect verb it governs other than an oath or the vocative, calling someone, such as Ya Zaid, or the negative particle la. We move on to K. K indicates cause. So here, and then he says lamu K. Lamu K is actually will be called in many by other grammarians as lamu ta'lil, the lam of cause. Now, the reason that the author Ibn Ajurrumiyyah rahimahullah is calling it lamu K is because K is for ta'lil and lam is for ta'lil. So by saying lamu K, he is saying that the lam that is used, that is for ta'lil, just as K is for ta'lil. And we can give one ayah as an example of both of them. This is Surah Al-Qasas, the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning the mother of Musa alayhi salam. فَرَدَدْنَاهُ استعذ بالله فَرَدَدْنَاهُ إِلَى أُمِّهِ كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا وَلَا تَحْزَنَ وَلِتَعْلَمَ أَنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so we returned him to his mother so that her eye would be settled, and so that she would not be sad, and so that she would have certain knowledge that the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is true, real, but most people know not. So here the first governor is K. The governed verb is taqarra, and the government or the i'rab is the fatha at the on the final letter. So K, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala return Musa alayhi salam to his mother so that her eye would be settled, meaning she would not be sad, she would not be as it said wala tahsan, so she would not be sad that she would be united with her baby after separation. So qarra aynuha or aynuhu is this very authentic Arabic expression, and it means like if your eye is settles on something, then you won't need to look anywhere else. That will suffice, right? So that means that indicates satisfaction and happiness and joy from seeing something, right? So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expresses this. We returned him, Musa alayhi salam, to his mother so that her eye would be settled and she would not be sad. So returning him to her causes her to be happy, to be joyful, right? So this is K. And we also see the lamu K or lamu ta'lil, wali ta'lama, so she would have certain knowledge. So again here the particle is lam, and the ma'mul is ta'lam, and it becomes mansub in the subjunctive mood, and this is expressed by the fatha on the final letter mim. And again here many grammarians will not include these among subjunctive governors, unlike Ibn Ajurrumiyyah, because here actually again the real governor is the an that is omitted after the lam. The lam is actually the lam that is harfu jar, and there is an afterwards that is assumed to be there, and that is actually what governs ta'lam. But since that's not mentioned, Ibn Ajurrumiyyah just mentions lam and says lam is the governor that makes ta'lam mansub. The next nasib is lamul juhud. Lamul juhud is this lam of denial, and it has to be preceded by a negated kana, so either by ma kana or lam yakun, and basically what it does is it puts emphasis on the negation, and it is seen in the Quran. You won't encounter it as much elsewhere in classical Arabic literature. So here the example we can give is from Suratul Anfal. استعيذ بالله وما كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم وهم يستغفرون. The Mufassirun, the exegetes, interpret this ayah in two ways. One meaning is that ما كان الله وما كان ليعذبهم, Allah would not punish them وأنت فيهم واو الحالية while you're among them وما كان الله معذبهم and Allah would not punish them وهم يستغفرون while they seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So according to one interpretation, the first whom would be referring to the polytheists, the disbelievers that were trying to destroy Islam, and so the meaning then would be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would surely not destroy them, punish them, while the Prophet ﷺ was among them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not punish them while they, meaning the Muslims who remained among them, seek forgiveness. So then this whom would be referring to a different whom than the whom that is mentioned in يُعَذِّبَهُمْ. That whom would be referring to the mushrikun, the polytheists, whereas the other whom would be referring to the Muslims who remained among them. So then the meaning would be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not punish them while there were Muslims among them who seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is one understanding of this ayah. The second understanding would be that ما كان الله وما كان ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم هم يستغفرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have punished them while you were among them, and would not have punished them while they seek forgiveness, meaning that the Prophet ﷺ did leave them and they did not seek forgiveness, and this explains their punishment. Had these things occurred, that if the Prophet ﷺ had remained with them, or had they believed in Allah and repented to Him, then they would not have been punished. In this case, the whom in the وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ refers to the same whom as لِيُعَذِّبَهُم. So here we see that our condition is met, that there is a ma'kane, and this is reinforced and emphasized with the particle lam, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would surely not punish them while you, Muhammed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rasulullah, the messenger of Allah, is among them. And then we can also give an example to the usage of lamul juhud, lam of denial, with the lam yakun, that is in Surah An-Nisa, Surah number 4, ayah number 137. استعذ بالله إن الذين آمنوا ثم كفروا ثم آمنوا ثم كفروا ثم ازدادوا كفرا لم يكن الله ليغفر لهم ولا ليهديهم سبيلا. Indeed, those who believe and then disbelieve and then believe and then disbelieve and then they increase in terms of their disbelief, Allah surely will not forgive them and will not guide them to a path, meaning to the right path. So here we have lam yakun, and the grammatical condition is satisfied, and to emphasize the denial there is the lamul juhud that follows it. lam yakunillahu liyaghfira lahum. The amil is the lamul juhud. Yaghfira is gonna be what? Mansub. And the government will be mansub in the subjunctive mood, and the grammatical sign, the government, will be the fatha on the ra. We're gonna move on to the jawab bil fa, since we already gave the example of hatta in the ayah استعذ بالله قالوا لن نبرح عليه عاكفين حتى يرجع إلينا موسى. That was Surah Taha. So the jawab bil fa and the jawab bil waw. Jawab bil fa wal wawi. Waw will be matuf upon the fa. It will be in conjunction with the fa, the response with fa and waw. So how do these work? Fa and waw, again, the fa and the waw, they by themselves are not gonna make the imperfect verb subjunctive. Rather, there's an n that is assumed to come after them, but that n is never explicitly stated. So this they will govern in this way with certain conditions. What's the condition? That they have to be a response either to a negation or to seeking or to demanding. And we will give examples to each one. Mithalun Nefi, the example of the negation, will be from Surah Al-Fatir, Surah number 35, Ayah number 36. Estaizu billah. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَهُمْ نَارُ جَهَنَّمْ لَا يُقْضَ عَلَيْهِمْ فَيَمُوتُوا وَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِهَا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي كُلَّ كَفُورٍ. Those who disbelieve, they will have the fire of hell. لا يقضى عليهم, death will not be destined for them. فَيَمُوتُوا, so that they can die. وَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِهِمْ, and مِنْ عَذَابِهَا, and the punishment of fire will not be lightened from them. كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي كُلَّ كَفُورٍ. In this way we recompense every person who is exceedingly ungrateful, or every disbeliever that is exceedingly disbelieves. So here the shahid, the witness for the grammatical rule, is la yuqta alayhim fayamutu, right? So here we have fa as-sababiyya, that is preceded by a negation, la yuqta alayhim fayamutu. Death will not be destined for them. Fayamutu, so they can die. So this the amal will be what? According to Ibn Abi Jurrum, the fa, but it's really the and that is assumed to be after it, but that is never explicitly stated. And yamutu is the ma'mul. And what's the amal? The amal, since this is from the af'al al-khamsa that we talked about previously, the noon is dropped. So the verb indicates, the imperfect verb indicates that's in the subjunctive mood by the dropping of the noon. As for talab, now talab can be expressed in 8 ways in Arabic, and we will give an example to each one. So one example is just the ordinary imperative. So one could say قُمْ فَنَقُومَ. So that would be what? That would be like saying, that's the emir. That's would be saying, get up, so we can get up. قُمْ فَنَقُومَ. Get up. فَنَقُومَ, again fa sebebiyya, and naquma becomes what? In the subjunctive mode, and we see that with the feta on the final letter. Another kind of talab in Arabic is an-nahi, prohibition. So this should not be confused with nafi. Nafi is negation, nahi is prohibition. That is a command, an imperative not to do something. So an example of this is Surah Taha, Surah number 20, Ayah number 81. Estaizu billah, Kul min tayyibati ma razaqnakum wa la tadqa fihi fayahill alaykum ghadabi wa man yahlil alayhi ghadabi faqad hawa. So the ayah says, eat from the good, wholesome things that we give to you as sustenance. وَلَا تَتْقَوْا, do not cross the boundary, do not transgress. فِيهِ, in what we give you as sustenance. So the fihi, that pronoun, is going back to the ma. فَيَحِلُّ عَلَيْكُمْ غَضَبِي. So my wrath becomes necessary upon you. وَمَنْ يَحْلِلْ عَلَيْهِ غَضَبِي فَقَدْ هَوَى. On whomever my wrath becomes necessary, he has indeed fallen, meaning he indeed perishes. So here the nahi is what? وَلَا تَطْغَوْا فِيهِ. Do not transgress in what we give to you as sustenance. Do not abandon what is halal for what is haram. فَيَحِلَّ عَلَيْكُمْ غَضَبِي. So that my wrath would become necessary upon you. So yahillu in the sense of yajibu here. Arabs say, for example, halla ad-daynu, the debt has become necessary. إذا وجب إداؤه, when it's necessary to fulfill, to pay the debt, they will say halla ad-dayn. So فَيَحِلَّ عَلَيْكُمْ غَضَبِي, يعني يجب يلزم يلزمكم غضبي. My wrath becomes so that my wrath becomes attached to you, it becomes necessary upon you. So here again, fa sebebiyya, it is preceded by a prohibition, and then the imperfect verb that follows the fa sebebiyya becomes mensub, fayhilla, with a feta on the final letter. Another way of seeking or demanding in Arabic is through an istifham, through a question. We can give as an example Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number surah number 7, ayah number 53. Estaizu billah. Hal yanzuruna illa ta'wilahu yawma ya'ti ta'wiluhu يقول الذين نسوه من قبل قد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق فهل لنا من شفعاء فيشفعوا لنا أو نرد فنعمل غير الذي كنا نعمل قد خسروا أنفسهم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون. We can interpret the ayah as saying هل ينظرون إلا تأويله. Are they waiting to see how the book will end up? يوم يأتي تأويله, when its ending, on the day its ending comes, meaning what it leads to comes. يقول الذين نسوه من قبل, those who have who forgot it before will say قد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق, the messengers of our Rabb, our Creator, have come with the truth. فَهَلْ لَنَا مِنْ شُفَعَاءَ, do we have interceders, فَيَشْفَعُوا لَنَا, so that they can intercede for us. So here, أَوْ نُرَدُّ, or can we return? فَنَعْمَلَ غَيْرَ الَّذِي كُنَّا نَعْمَلْ, and do what something other than what we used to do. قَدْ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ, they have indeed lost themselves, they have damaged themselves. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ, and those things that they lied about, those lies that they fabricated, have gone astray from them, meaning they've seen that those false beliefs were false in the hereafter. So here the shahid, the grammatical example is what? فَهَلْ لَنَا مِنْ شُفَعَاءَ فَيَشْفَعُوا لَنَا. So the fa sababiyya is preceded by a question, istifham. فَهَلْ لَنَا مِنْ شُفَعَاءَ, do we have intercessors? فَيَشْفَعُوا لَنَا, so that they can intercede for us. So fa sababiyya is preceded by an istifham hal, and then it becomes mensub in the subjunct, the imperfect verb that follows the fa becomes in the subjunctive mood. and we see that because the noon is dropped. فَيَشْفَعُوا لَنَا. Then we have another example, kind of talab, of seeking or demanding, that is tamanni, wishing. And the example is from Surah An-Nisa, Surah number 4, ayah number 73. Estaizu billah. وَلَيْنْ أَسَابَكُمْ فَضْلٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ لَا يَكُولَنَّ كَأَنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُ مَوَدَّةٌ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَهُمْ فَأَفُوزَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the munafiq, and he says وَلَيْنْ أَسَابَكُمْ فَضْلٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ. And if a bounty, if a grace, if a reward of, if a generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would fall upon you, لَا يَكُولَنَّ, by Allah He will say, كَأَنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُ مَوَدَّةٌ, as if there was no love between you and him. يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَهُمْ, I wish I was with them. فَأَفُوزَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, so I could achieve a great success. Note here that the first lam in لَيْنْ أَسَابَكُمْ is this lam called lam al-muwattiya lil-qasam, the lam that prepares the way for an oath. And لَا يَكُولَنَّ, that lam is actually the lam al-qasam, the lam of oath, but that's not what we're focusing on at the moment. Here we're talking about how fa, when it's preceded by a talab, makes the imperfect verb subjunctive. So here there's the tamanni, the wish, يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَهُمْ, I wish I were with them. فَأَفُوزَ, so I would be successful. فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, with a great success. The next type of talab is at-tahdid, which means urging. And the example will be from Surah Al-Munafiqun, which is Surah number 63, ayah number 10. Estaizu billah. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ فَيَقُولَ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ فَأَصَّدَّقَ وَأَكُنْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. Spend from what we give you as sustenance before a day comes, before death comes upon one of you, so that he says, Rabbi, my Lord, my Creator, لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب, were it that you postpone me to a near term, فأصدق, so I can give charity. So here the shahid here is we have لولا, that shows tahdid, urging something. لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب, were it that you postponed me to a near term, فأصدق, so I can give sadaqah, وأكن من الصالحين, and be from those who are righteous. So we have this tahdid with lawla, and then we have fa sababiyya, and then the imperfect verb that follows the fa sababiyya becomes mansub with a fatha, فأصدق. Note here that فأصدق, that this is would be with the meaning of فأتصدق. There's the idgham, the incorporation of the ta from the tefa'ala bab into the sad, which is expressed with the doubling of the sad, right? So فأتصدق becomes فأصدق with the shadda on the sad. Then we also have another type of talab in raja or tereji, which is hope. The example is from Surah Abasa, Surah number 80, ayahs number 3 and 4. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى أَوْ يَذَّكَّرُ فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى. And what will make you understand that hopefully he will purify himself, أَوْ يَذَّكَّرُ, or he will remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى, and so that remembrance will be of benefit to him. As is well known, the surah is talking about the companion Abdullah ibn Maktum radiallahu anhu. So here we have the example in the shahid, in the أو يذكر فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى. Here the fa sababiyya is preceded by لَعَلَّ, which indicates ترجي hope. لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى وَيَذَّكَّرُ, hopefully he will purify himself, or he will remember, so that فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَى, the remembrance will benefit him. So we have a fa sababiyya that is preceded by a word that indicates hope, لَعَلَّ, and then the imperfect verb that follows fa sababiyya becomes in the subjunctive mood, and this is expressed by the fatha on the ayn of the ayn on the final letter of the verb, فَتَنْفَعَهُ. Another type of talab in Arabic is through dua, through a prayer, and an example of this is we can give from an Arabic poem. ربي وفقني فلا عادل عن سنن الساعين في خير سنن. ربي وفقني فلا عادل عن سنن الساعين في خير سنن. My Rabb, my Lord, my Creator, give me success, فلا عادل, so that I do not turn away from سنن الساعين, ساعين, the path of those who labor, who go, في خير سنن, in the best path. So here we have the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وفقني. Dua is from an subordinate to a superior. So here this slave is praying to his creator, وفقني, give success to me, فلا عادل. So فلا عادل, so I do not turn away from the path of those who go in the best path. So here وفقني is dua because it's from the slave to his Rabb, to his master Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is then fa sababiyya comes after this dua, and then the imperfect verb that follows the fa sababiyya, it becomes in the subjunctive mood, that is expressed with a fatha on the lam, fala adila. Another type of talab is ard. Ard is asking something with softness. Again, we will give an example from Arabic poetry. يَبْنَ الْكِرَامِ أَلَا تَدْنُ فَتُبْصِرَ مَا قَدْ حَدَّثُوكَ فَمَا رَاءٍ كَمَنْ سَمِعَ. يَبْنَ الْكِرَامِ, or the son of nobleman, or the son of noble people. أَلَا تَدْنُ, why don't you come near, فَتُبْصِرَ, so that you can see, مَا قَدْ حَدَّثُوكَ, what they have told you, فَمَا رَاءٍ كَمَنْ سَمِعَ, the one who sees is not like the one who hears. So here the poet is inviting this person to come close, so he can see visually the truth of, or he can see visually what a person whom he has heard about before. So yabnal kirami ela tednu, why don't you come close, why don't you come near, fetubsira, so that you can see. So here the ard is this demanding something softly, is ela tednu, why don't you come near, fetubsira, so that you can see. The fa is preceded by something that indicates ard, a demand that is expressed softly, and then the subjunctive mood is apparent in the imperfect verb that follows fa sebebiyye, and it becomes mensub with the fa on the final letter ra, fetubsira. So we're done with fa sebebiyye. Now we're moving on to the waw. Again, waw will be followed by a subjunctive imperfect verb if it is preceded by nefi or taleb, negation or taleb, seeking or demanding something. And again, the actual nasib is the an, that is actually not ever explicitly stated after the waw, just as it is with fa sebebiyya. So the example that the grammarians give for this is the statement la te'kulis semeke wa teshrebe al-leben. So here, do not eat fish with drinking milk. Leben in classical Arabic is often used for milk. In modern Arabic, oftentimes leben will be understood as yogurt, but here I think milk is meant, and as you might be aware that many in many countries people consider that eating fish and drinking milk is harmful for you, although the doctors say that's not true. But that's besides the point. Let's go back to the grammar. La te'kulis semeke, do not eat fish, wa teshrabal leben. So here this is waw al-ma'iyya, and there is an that is assumed to be after it, and that's what makes teshrabe mensub. It is preceded by a nehi, which is a form of taleb, and the imperfect verb that follows waw al-ma'iyya becomes in the subjunctive mood, and that is expressed with a feta on the ba on the final letter of the verb. We move on to the final nasib that Ibn Ajrum rahimullah mentions, which is aw. Aw will only do nasb if it has the meaning of ila or illa. I will give an example to each one from Arabic poetry. So the example of aw that means ila is لأستسهلن الصعب أو أدرك المنى فمن قادت الآمال إلا لصابر. لأستسهلن الصعب, I will indeed, لام الابتداء, I will indeed surely consider the difficult easy. أو أدرك المنى, or I will obtain what I seek. Here أو is in the meaning of ila, meaning la estesilanne sabe ila and udrik al muna, meaning I will indeed consider the difficult easy until I reach al muna, meaning at temenni al murad, what I seek. فمن قادت الأعمال إلا لصابر, hopes do not obey except the person who is patient. So here we have aw. It has the meaning of ila here, that the poet says he will consider the difficult easy, he will bear hardship until he reaches his murad, until he reaches his goal. So udrike becomes mensub after aw, and it indicates its nas with a feta on the final letter kaf. The example of aw that has the meaning of illa from Arabic poetry again is the line of poetry of the poet وَكُنْتُ إِذَا غَمَسْتُ قَنَاةَ قَوْمٍ كَسَرْتُ قُوبَهَا أَوْ تَسْتَقِيمًا. And I, if I touch the spear of of a group of men, I break their I break its protruding parts. Um, um, except if they're straight. So here, or literally, he's saying, I كسرت, I break, um, um, I would break its protruding part, or it is straight, meaning except if it's straight. So the image is that a person who takes a spear, and if there's any protruding parts there, the protruding parts of the spear, he'll break the spear. And this is an example of meaning illa here, and meaning he will break the spear unless it is straight. And what the poet is trying to say, I think, is that that people should not mess with him unless because if they do that, he will use his poetry to attack them, unless they're straight, meaning unless they don't do this behavior that he disapproves of. So again, وَكُنْتُ, and I would, إِذَا غَمَسْتُ قَنَاةَ قَوْمٍ, if I would touch the spear of a qawm. Qawm is used for man in classical Arabic. كَسَرْتُ قُوبَهَا, I would break its protruding parts. أو تستقيم, or they're straight, meaning except if they're straight, meaning except if it is straight, meaning except if the spear is straight, meaning it doesn't have protruding parts. This is the end of lesson number 6 of Ajurrumiyyah. Subhan rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.